2, 1.
Hey guys, how we doing?
Morning, everybody.
Joe here.
Kevin.
The season 4 finale of Mad Men.
I'm very excited about this.
It's here already.
Yeah. This show is so good. We've been really blowing through the seasons.
We do, and more so than most shows, I feel like. I think we absorb this one a little differently. I think we process it very well, and it's probably the easiest show to talk about too, honestly.
Well, there's so much going on with it, right?
There is.
Like nothing against like some of the sitcoms we've watched, but there's not
Yeah.
much to say beyond that was well written, it was well performed, it was funny, the actors kind of nailed the bits. But
Plenty
this
food
is
for thought.
yeah, there's a lot of layers going on with this show.
Really, yeah.
Like I said, the show acts as kind of a stand-in, like microcosm of the journey of America through
Yeah.
as America kind of grew up from post-war America into the '60s revolution
Sure.
and the counterculture.
It's a fantastic character study too.
Absolutely.
Like it doesn't give you all the answers, so that's why I think we have so much discussion, because it's like, well, what is his issue?
Nothing is spoon-fed. It's why we have so many heated debates about this show,
Yeah.
right? All the characters have things you like about them, and all the characters have things you detest about them.
Oh.
So we end up with in a lot of discussion, very heated discussions about
Yeah.
it, which I think is a good thing.
Somebody on Patreon said one of the most interesting things, though. I don't know if we referred to him as a sociopath or somebody else did, but they said Don Draper's not a sociopath because they are without remorse or empathy.
That's fair. He does have remorse, doesn't he?
A lot.
He has a lot of remorse, and I think I was. This is actually true. I went and got my oil changed yesterday morning, and I was thinking about, are we too hard on Betty? Because people it's like, you guys are hard on Betty. It's a recurring theme, and I don't want to get too deep into that. But what occurred to me was, you mentioning that, I wasn't even going to say anything, but you bring that up makes a good point, because the difference between Don and Betty, like they're both bad parents, right?
Yes.
And I think what the show might be saying about them isn't the fact that these are horrible people, but we look back, it's really popular to look nostalgically back on this time period and say the good old days when mom was able to stay home with the kids and dad went and worked, and that was a strong family. And that was what a strong family was. And this show says, wait a minute, that's not necessarily the case, because the dad that's never there is the absentee dad that isn't there doing any parenting, which is what Don is, right? Don is an absentee father, even when his kids are with him. And you have the overwhelmed mother who doesn't get a break.
Yeah.
And and that's not healthy for the kids either,
Well, Sally is a boomer.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is kind of like, why are boomers the way they are?
Right.
Look at their parents.
They're like the generation of parents where dad'll let you know he loves you when you're born. If he changes his mind, he'll tell you later.
No, sure.
And that's kind of it. And I think that's part of the issue. And I think the reason Betty takes more of the brunt of it than Dawn, which may be unfair, is when Dawn messes up. And he does it all the time. Not always, but every once in a while he's contrite about it.
Sure.
He knows he screwed up. He acknowledges he screwed up. When someone says, "Are you a good dad?" I'm not there for him enough. I don't see my kids enough.
Yeah.
He will often, one-on-one, not in big group. He's not that healthy.
No.
But he will every once in a while acknowledge that he messes up. He does feel bad. We see him feel like he screwed up.
Yeah. He's got a lot of remorse. He's full of it.
I don't ever see that from Betty.
And that could
what I mean?
It could be intentional too, because I know you guys think that we don't like her, but like
I do, and I've liked her a lot more this season. I like Betty.
Now it's intentional. The show is showing us certain moments. That's the whole point of it, right?
Right.
So we don't know if Betty's feeling remorseful at all because we don't see it.
They don't. Yeah, she keeps. It's internal for what they show, and that's the thing is we see Don being, not necessarily doing a mea culpa, but at least feeling bad for some of the stuff that he does wrong. We don't. Point me if you guys are watching and I'm wrong, let me know. I might be forgetting something, but I couldn't think of a moment where Betty was, let's say, rough as a parent, or started a fight with Don or Henry or whatever, where she genuinely seems to feel bad about what she did.
The closest we have to it is in this season. It's the episode where she freaks out about seeing him at dinner.
And she apologizes to Henry, kind of.
And at the end of the episode, she has a little bit of grace. She's like, "It's fine, let him beat her."
Right. No, I agree with that. But we don't generally see much as far as like I was pretty awful there. You know what I mean? We don't see that, but we get it from Dawn. Now, the show's written more from Dawn's perspective, so maybe we're just getting a skewed view of it.
Yeah.
Maybe she has that, but it's harder to take that in from Betty because we don't get it. We don't see it from her.
And we're just interpreting what we see. That's it. We're not
Yeah,
being mean to be mean or like
Right,
trying to
yeah.
say anything at all about that. You know?
It's more saying about what the show's showing us,
exactly
what they're
you know?
giving us.
And that's what's great about the show is that it is up for interpretation.
It should be.
So the
Yeah,
fact that you guys interpret it a little differently,
that's
that's awesome.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Right. That's what's great. Good television, good storytelling
Yeah.
should have a little bit of ambiguity to it. It's the best, right?
You don't want something spoon fed. I mean, the show doesn't have a narration. It doesn't have like over. Oh my god, it doesn't have a lot of exposition. There's not a lot of like
Right.
overly explained things in the show. You know what I mean?
And that's and also it should be with good writing, right?
Yeah. Show don't tell.
Is Hamlet a hero or is Hamlet a whiny kid? You know, who just couldn't get over feeling bad about losing his station. A Romeo and Juliet madly in love, or are they two teenagers who shouldn't be together because they're not going to like each other a week after they meet anyway?
Exactly. And it's still up for interpretation. We're
Right,
still
it
talking
is.
about it today.
400 years later,
Yeah.
it's still worthy discussion.
Now, Mad Men. I mean, well, this is not quite Shakespearean yet. We'll know in 400 years, but
Mad Men's pretty freaking good. That's
it's
all.
pretty great.
I love me some Shakespeare, and I absolutely love me some Mad Men. It might be the best written television show I've ever seen, start to finish.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Like, look, the West Wing's great too.
Mhm.
It's
Different kind of thing.
different kind of thing. That's what I was gonna say. Like, it's comparing these two is like comparing apples and oranges. I feel like
Right. There's a little bit of an education about the governmental system going on with Mad Men in a great way. And the writing and the dialogue are immaculate. Mad Men is more just of a narrative story,
It's
right?
a character piece.
Right.
Yeah.
And a really freaking good one.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to hop into this episode, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube, welcome to our channel. If you might hit the like button for us, please leave us a comment down below and hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on the new content we've coming your way.
Yeah. Now, if you'd like to see a full-length reaction to this and everything else we've watched or are currently watching, please check out a link in the description below to our Patreon page. We're going to be doing and finishing the entire run of Mad Men, and that'll be over there. If you're seeing this on YouTube for the first time, the next 5 episodes, I believe, are over on Patreon right now.
We'll be into season 5.
Yeah, we'll be into season 5 if you want and jump right over and get caught up with where we are in real time.
Yeah.
You'll have to sync and watch along on your own device. You're only going to see and hear us. You're not going to see or hear any of the show.
Nope.
We're watching on AMC Plus. We're also watching 30 Rock right now, the Patreon exclusive.
By the way, AMC Plus, delightful service.
Check it out. It has a lot with Shudder and a lot of the other stuff. And AMC's had a history of really good short run series too.
Love it.
Good stuff there. All right. For those of you back with us on Patreon, welcome back, guys. We're going to start the season 4 finale, Tomorrowland. Here in 3, 2, 1.
American Cancer loved the letter, and they're gonna love you. And then you're gonna stop working and take.
Are they going to smoke in the office when the American Cancer Society's there?
Yeah, hide all the ashtrays.
I'm gonna miss you, you know.
Will you, or just the idea of her done? I mean, it's hard to tell.
I think she's too insightful for a guy that's a fake. You know what I mean? I don't think he can ever be comfortable with her because she sees through the crack a lot better than he needs someone that can't see through his smoke and mirrors.
He told her because he was
which is sad. Yeah,
He could have told anybody that moment.
yeah.
What
Right.
made you suddenly write that?
No cigarettes.
Yep. You got the pen. Yeah.
In the pen. He's holding the pen like a cigarette. That's funny.
If it helps, I can guarantee you that Lucky Strike will hate this.
How'd it go?
So did you get cancer?
Oh my God, Roger.
Megan, can you get Mr. Cosgrove?
Of course, he's got the cigarette
Yeah,
in his
yeah.
mouth when he says it too.
Wouldn't it be fun to have a foursome this weekend that includes your father-in-law, yourself, and Mr. Marlowe?
Doesn't that sound like fun?
He wants him to use his father-in-law. He doesn't want to do
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Look how they're all like praying on it.
yeah.
Stingy. It's interesting how the tables.
He
are
doesn't
turned
wanna-
between
yeah.
Pete and Ken. Like we were always singing Ken's
Hello,
Ken's
Carla.
praises over Pete's. Now
Yeah.
Pete's that guy.
Well, Pete's definitely more of the company man.
Yes, he
Yeah.
is.
I just want to say bye.
I like Carla. We haven't seen Carla in a while.
Yeah.
Also, I'm gonna miss this house. You know, this house has been a staple of the
Yeah.
show.
It's not that big a deal. I say goodbye to people all the time.
Oh man. Oh boy.
Oh.
I'm sorry. It's my fault. Get out.
Calm down.
Why do you hate me?
You don't think I know what you're doing? You could be friends with anyone.
Just because you're sad doesn't mean everybody has to be.
Mic drop.
He's right.
He's
He's not a little kid anymore.
I didn't see the harm. He wanted to say goodbye. Did you leave them alone?
Oh my god.
Come on.
There's no need for that kind of talk.
You know what, Carla? I've been thinking.
Is she gonna fire her?
I need someone new nearby. Someone closer to the new house.
I'm sorry I
Just
said
squares
so
for
many
the
nice
week.
things about Betty.
Yeah, this is awful. Awful.
I'm going to say goodbye to the children.
Do you think that's a good idea right now?
Oh my god.
Some other time.
Are you kidding me? Guys.
Someone defend that to me. Someone in comments defend what she just did to me. I want to see it.
And yeah, it's as bad as Don and Sal. As bad.
Yeah.
Except for guess what? Somebody told him to fire Sal.
Right.
But I say you'll more than double your money, which is not bad for 10 years.
I'm so angry.
That was a garbage move.
I told the kid she's sick.
So what the hell do I do, Betty, with no help? I have meetings. 2 flights, diapers, for Christ's sake.
Then don't take them.
I hate her right now. I don't mind saying that I hate Betty right now.
I don't like her. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
Sorry. Right now I do not like
That's our
her.
opinion. You want to defend it? defend it.
That's
At the
fine,
same
yeah.
time, it's,
Explain to me why I should be okay with this.
I already ate. Me too. And I ran.
She just said she doesn't care if her kids get to go to Disney World.
That's like, oh my god, it's like Joan Crawford stuff. Maybe that's a little extreme, but you know what I mean.
So I've arranged for 2 girls to cover the 2 mornings you're working.
Does he take her?
Maybe it'll be an adventure.
I do like Megan. She's trying.
How much do you make a week?
Yeah,
There it is.
Yep. Nice. All right, well that's probably
Yeah.
yeah. Just watch my 2-year-old who may or may not be my father-in-law reincarnated. That kid is huge, by the way. Like, look how big baby Gene is.
What's happening?
In French?
I think so, yeah.
You said you didn't have any experience, and you're like Maria von Trapp.
That's funny.
4 nieces and 6 nephews.
Big family.
Yeah. Megan is lovely.
Yeah, she is. Do you think this trip ends in romance?
Probably.
Yeah.
My friend Anna. She used to live here. Stephanie is her niece.
Who's Dick?
Oh. Oh.
Well, that's me
No, I did not expect that to come out of his mouth.
sometimes.
I appreciate the honesty there.
This makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
This makes me want to cry.
She said deal with the past, and he's kind of doing it.
Not gonna do it.
What you wanted?
She wanted you to have it. Shouldn't play around with that. Besides, I don't believe in it.
Free spirit.
The hippies.
Yeah.
This is birth of the hippie movement, isn't it?
Bunch of hippies. Nice. Cannonball! Yeah.
Gene looks scared.
It's like, whoa, Dad.
Just once could you take my side?
No one's ever on your side, Betty.
Or not.
I'm with Henry here.
She's known them since they were born. It's not blood, but at the same time, it might as well be. She swaddled them as babies, and she couldn't even say goodbye. That's awful.
She wouldn't give her a letter of recommendation. She's trying to
awful.
she's trying to ruin her professionally now.
I hate Betty.
Right now, this is the most I've hated Betty since we watched the show.
Ever.
Right.
Yeah, Don's terrible. I know, but like,
Don's a crap dad. Yes, he is, but
She's an actress now. She's in 2 episodes of Hogan's Heroes.
nice.
Hogan's Heroes, the show that created the concept of too soon about Nazi jokes. Yeah. The man cannot help himself.
He can't. That is his fault. Truly,
Yes.
guys. Like, we get it. Like, we're not praising Don right now.
No, when I say he can't help himself, that is I'm being critical of him
Yeah.
a lot.
Thinking about you so much.
Dawn.
Yeah, what Betty did to Carla is the worst thing that somebody's done, that either one of them have done to a person on this show
I think so.
in 4 seasons.
The South thing was rough for a long time.
It was, but at least Don was like, "You're gonna land on your feet. I'll give you a letter of recommendation." You know, it was homophobic. It was terrible. It wasn't
no.
his call, really.
He was rough about it for sure.
Yeah, he was terrible about it, and he sucked for it. But
this is the closest we've got to her like feeling some kind of way,
right?
Any form of like remorse or just,
this is the closest we've gotten. Yeah.
We all try. We don't always make it.
Some more than others, that's for sure.
See, that's more contrition right there than I've heard from Betty in the entire run of the show.
I know who you are now.
I don't think you do.
No.
You think you do. He doesn't even know who he is.
Yeah. It's the line from Tropic Thunder. I'm a rooster illusion.
The sun comes up. They're little roosters.
That's funny.
That's great.
That's pretty funny.
I am who I say I am. I'm the dude playing the dude disguised as another dude. Yeah. Gotta rewatch that.
Shouldn't be.
I feel like this is Betty being repeated, though. Another young, beautiful woman that he has an edge over. She is not the fit that Faye is for him.
Tomorrow night at 11.
He's so dependable. You know what I mean? Like, or he's dependent upon somebody else. You know?
Right.
Yeah, he's not dependable.
He needs somebody. He needs somebody that looks at him with starry eyes. He does.
In many ways, he needs a nanny or like a mom or something. Yeah. Like,
well, he needs somebody he can feel like he's superior to.
Yeah.
And Faye's not it. Faye is intellectually his match.
But he also wants somebody to coddle him. I feel like, you know.
Sure.
You're short stuff. Okay, Sally. Shut up!
Ooh.
Don't be upset. It's just a milkshake.
Wow.
I was like, wow, you're not gonna hit her? Yeah, look, even Sally's like, I'm not gonna get hit for this?
Yeah.
I feel like myself.
I mean, he's got an engagement ring on him now. You don't think he's gonna, do you?
Oh my god, no, I'm not. And now
Until I just thought about it, because I almost made a like engagement joke, and I'm like, wait a second, he has an engagement ring. Oh, there it is.
Don.
Yeah. No.
God, Don.
No.
Oh my
No.
goodness.
Of course he is.
No.
This is like typical him, though. You know what I mean? Like,
It's beautiful.
I just got it 2 days ago.
Will you marry me?
So no.
You know how weird it's going to be going back to the office and like, by the way, my secretary got engaged.
And Roger's just like,
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
Faye, he's got to go home and break up with his very great girlfriend now,
the only person that's maybe genuinely cared about him
and that's why
as a person.
that's why it was never going to work.
Yep.
He can't handle somebody doing that.
Miss Calvey and I are getting married. Who the hell?
Really?
Oh man.
Congratulations, Don.
Let's have a toast. Megan, could you get us some ice? I'm teasing. See, Don, this is...
Oh man.
I don't know. We haven't discussed it.
Roger for the win there.
That was great. Can you get us some ice?
Hey,
Well, I hope you're very happy. And I hope she knows you only like the beginnings of things.
Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
She's right.
don't know what else to say.
Goodbye.
Mm-hmm. Faye is right.
He deserves so much better than
He
him.
deserves so much better than Don Draper. From the beginning, we've been saying that.
I hope we see her in like season 6, 7, like out when he's out with somebody,
Yeah.
and she's with a husband and happy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss that house.
I am too, actually.
Paul Carla. Write the letter, dang it.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's funny. Yeah. This is nice.
It is.
Having a drink over how awful they are.
Yeah, we're really bad parents.
We're the worst, right? Yeah. It's laughing maniacally.
We treat people like garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. If she didn't fire Carla, Fade'd still be in the picture.
Right.
He wouldn't be engaged. What a weird.
We saw both of them being impulsive in the worst, dumbest ways in this
Yeah,
episode.
truly.
Both of them.
Can you imagine he falls in love with Carla on the trip?
Right. That would make just as much sense to me as getting engaged to
Truly,
Megan did.
yeah.
Yeah.
There it is. That seed.
Right. Now
I'm
what?
still not happy.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, right? That is who he is.
Yep.
I've got a new, young, beautiful wife.
It's the same as like the ending of Taxi Driver when he looks back in the rearview mirror. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's always still there. Whatever this darkness is, it's still there in him. You know, like, oh my god.
There's a lot to talk about.
All right,
Another finale where things kind of blow up, except for this one, it's all personal with.
I think we got the Betty thing
Betty
out of
and-
us a little bit. We don't have to bag on her, but like,
I thought she
Good
was.
Lord,
I thought
she's
she was horrible. I thought she was an absolute monster in this episode.
not January Jones. January Jones is fantastic.
Oh, she's great.
And
She
also-
kills this role.
Is this the same thing as like the actress Anna Gunn who plays Skylar White? Is this the same thing? Like she's not in a lot of stuff now because of the role.
I hope not, because
They're both fantastic actresses. Like they're both great.
yeah. I watched Breaking Bad in real time as it was
Yeah.
on every season from season 1.
Sure.
As a curiosity, and loved it obviously. And I always thought a lot of the hatred that Anna Gunn got was ridiculous.
Unjustified. I mean,
For sure.
it's a character on a TV show.
And really, I didn't think Skylar was as bad as everyone else did. I thought compared to her
The Ted
husband,
thing.
yeah,
her
the Ted,
husband's a murderer.
the Ted thing was gross, and there were times that Skylar was pretty awful.
Yeah.
Especially, she was really controlling and judgy, and there were grating personality things for sure,
Uh-huh.
but she wasn't a detestable person like
No.
Walter was. So I never understood that anyway.
Walter was a meth. Wow.
He was a-
He was a.
He was a drug dealer.
yeah, he was a murderer too.
Yeah, and a murderer. Yeah, he was a bad guy.
Horrible person.
I got off the wagon in like
Season 4?
end of season 2, season 3.
Yeah,
I did
yeah, yeah.
for me.
Oh yeah, after the plane thing for sure.
Right. Yeah, that's where it was.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That was-
But yeah, I hope that January Jones, because a lot of people feel kind of some of the animosity. That's not the right word, but a lot of people don't like Betty Draper as a character, and I hope that the actress doesn't pay the price for that because she's done a great job.
yeah.
I was viscerally angry with her with how she was treating Carla in this
It
episode.
doesn't make sense to me. Like, look, I understand if Carla, if she was truly bad at her job and she was truly doing something harmful, that's different.
Even
This was not.
even Carl's like, I'm sorry I made a mistake, but that's not a you're fired level of mistake.
And even if she was going to fire her, let him say goodbye. Let her say goodbye to her kids.
It was so petty.
Write her a letter of recommendation.
That made me mad. Like, I'm going to try to destroy your life now. That you're not going to have a letter of recommendation from 10 years of her being
10
your
years,
nanny.
3 kids. She's seen
how-
so much stuff. In that
How is she supposed to go get another job if the person who's employed her for a decade won't give her a letter of recommendation?
it looks bad for her,
Yeah,
you know. And it's like, God dang it, man! Like Carla was. I didn't even realize this is probably the last time we'll see Carla on the show. Like,
yeah, Carla's done
We
for
have
sure.
so many characters that we love on this show. Like the supporting cast is as strong as the main cast in the show, and it really helps flesh out the world. And now that Carla's gone, that sucks.
I love the fact that Betty was calling Carla a bad mother after she fired her too. And like,
that's rich.
when right, and when Carla told her she needed to stop talking, I was like, yeah, she does. I know Betty has, there are reasons, and there are things, the justifications for their behavior. Betty was raised in a way that she's dealing with things that she wasn't supposed to have to deal with in the way that she's in her training and upbringing. Right, the show's being critical with how girls were raised at the time
Yeah.
to become mothers at the time and not to become complete people.
I mean-
We understand all that, but that still doesn't mean that we have to enjoy seeing the crap behavior that
And-
comes as a result of it, or let her off the hook for it.
We've all seen her brother. We've all
Right.
seen her father. We get it.
Yeah, they're garbage
It's-
guys.
but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that she has to be that way. She doesn't have to be that person. But I understand it's easier said than done. Obviously, you know. I mean, like we all.
She is we're all the product of our upbringing,
Yes.
and you know, and you know, we do give her that. You should give her that. Don is the product of his upbringing. Roger, Peggy, Pete, they're all the product of their upbringing. We completely understand that.
That's why the show goes out of its way to show you the upbringings. Like, flesh
Right?
out the
Yeah,
characters.
exactly. But, yeah, we get it's a multi-generational show to show that
Yes.
this stuff is cyclical.
Exactly. That's
Even-
what we're seeing Sally and
even-
Bobby. And all
Right.
that.
Even as the country changes, a lot of this stuff is cyclical. You know, the
Yeah.
sins of the father being handed down to the children.
Yeah.
But my God, sometimes Betty does some. She does. First off, it is very clear that she has no healthy way to process her negative emotions. She does not have a healthy way to do that out. She does not have the coping skills
Yeah.
to deal with her negative emotions at all. And I don't mind being critical of her for that.
I don't know.
But the complete lack of any contrition. Maybe she felt bad laying on the bed, but I didn't see her say, "Hey Henry, I'm going to call Carla. Hey Henry, I'm going to go and write her a letter back." We didn't see it resolve itself in any real way that made any sense.
I have a lot of empathy for Henry too. He's just up late drinking.
And you know what? I kind of am like, you know what, Henry? You're Dawn right now. You rushed into this without realizing that the woman that you were marrying because she was beautiful and full of life and whatever you were getting out of her in their very rushed courtship while she was married to another guy, it wasn't all rosy. You didn't bother looking to see what kind of person she really was, what kind of mother she is, how she handles adversity, which for the most part has been terrible.
It's interesting how the show handles the beginnings of relationships too, like the honeymoon phase,
Right.
and how everything's great in the beginning, and then you know hard cut to midway through, or it's like
And to be fair, Dawn sucked in this episode too.
big time.
Dawn really sucked.
He
too.
gave her Anna's ring.
Yeah. He
What are the chances are she divorces you and she keeps that ring, buddy?
and what it took 4 seconds for him to decide that I've got this great girlfriend back home, but she looks like she's willing to call me on my crap, so I need to go find a 25-year-old beautiful girl
Megan's
who
good with my
won't.
kids. Megan's good with my kids. So
Well, I don't even think it's that. I think it's the fact that there's no threat of
there's no threat.
there's no threat of
She'll do
of
it.
exactly of Megan looking beyond whatever facade Don wants to show her. Right. And Faye would have. Faye was too much of a challenge as a strong person that for Dawn. Just Dawn. I know I don't want to sound reductive, but I feel like Dawn is in a predatory stage of where it's like I need someone that I can kind of be in control over.
Yeah.
And Betty was that for a long time before Betty got wise and got out of it, right? And I feel like Megan is just that void. The difference is, at least for Dawn, is, and we see it in this episode, so don't tell me I'm looking for things. They showed us Betty being a terrible, terrible mother.
Yes.
And Megan being much better at it.
She is. Honestly,
with the milkshake thing, they showed us that on purpose together.
And
They
like,
juxtaposed that.
You saw everybody's reactions too. Everybody's reaction was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, everyone thought that the kids were about to get beaten by Dawn, or by
her,
Megan,
or her. Yeah,
and Megan was like, "Guys, it's just a milkshake. It's just a spill. It's
I know.
gonna clean
She's
up."
like, "What's wrong with you people?"
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm sorry, but the show gave us both because they wanted to highlight the differences there.
Yeah,
we wanted to see Betty being really awful and Megan actually being really good with the kids.
That's the weird thing too, is that Megan's actually like a good person. Like Megan seems lovely. Like she seems like a really nice person to be with. And I wouldn't normally. I'd have no issue with Don dating her if he didn't already have a girlfriend and he wasn't who
a great
he was.
girlfriend who deserves a lot better for
Yeah,
sure.
I feel that shot of her crying at the desk was so sad.
Yeah, it
like,
was
that
rough.
was awful, And I do like the fact that Megan is good with the kids, and I like the fact that maybe him seeing her with the kids kind of informs some of that decision, but I don't think that was
Right.
all. I think maybe it was a small fraction of what actually was going through his head. But like he did see how she was and stuff. It's like from the very first frame of them being in California, it's
Right.
her with the kids. It's her singing them goodnight.
Yeah, and maybe it's that simple. Maybe it's the first girl right?
Yeah.
That kind of hung out with him as a family and gave him a sense of that family life. Remember, his accountant was like, "Don't you want to go home and have a steak when you get home?"
Yeah.
And he just kind of like shrugged his shoulders and smiled. Well, now he can have that, right?
Now I can have that.
Now, and he got to see a bit of a slice of it. Look, my kids are with this woman and they're happy, and I'm happy with her, and she's beautiful. So it's like, I know what I'll do. I'll immediately rush into being her husband.
Did Sally like Faye? Because I remember like that was the episode that she ran away, and obviously Megan was there in the office with her, but she went back to the house with Faye, and I think it was a little rough.
Well, I just don't think that there was much of a chance.
There wasn't much of a chance, obviously.
And Faye even said, she's like, I was
I'm
not,
not your nanny.
I'm not. She wasn't prepared to step in and into that maternal role immediately, and I don't blame her.
No.
She maybe that was part of the problem with Faye was I'm not going to mother your children for you, and Megan says I'm going to mother your children for you.
Yeah.
He took his secretary to be his nanny on his trip, and all of a sudden he decided she should be his wife. That says a lot about what Don thinks of women.
It really does. It would be hilarious though if Megan was like, "I'm still getting paid for this trip, right?"
Yeah, but I mean, doesn't that kind of make sense?
It does make sense.
Don has somebody he's bossing around, who he's paying, who's being his secretary, his assistant, and mothering his kids for him and nannying his kids, and decides this should be my wife.
And I love
it says a lot of bad about Don.
I love how we both think like, "Oh, this is not going to go well."
No, there is no way.
They're going to end up divorced eventually at some point in time.
If they even get all the way to the wedding.
That's a great point.
You know what I mean?
We said soon. We're going to get married soon. I wouldn't be surprised if season 5, like...
Wait, we start and they're married already?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. But I could see them calling it off too,
We could start season 5 and they could have already broken up. You know what I mean? Because they've done small time jumps on the show between seasons.
And I do like Megan as a character a lot. I like her.
I don't think she's a bad person at all.
Yeah. I like her, man. I do. And I feel awful for saying that because of the whole Faye situation. I think at the end of the day, I'm a sentimentalist. I want people to be happy.
Right.
But at the same time, Don, I wanted to be happy in a different.
This was a self-destructive decision for sure.
This is not the way.
It's not going to go well, and I'm going to put 100% of it on Don and not on Megan.
Yeah,
100%.
He's going to hurt this girl.
Yeah, it was a dumb decision from the start, and like we said, we were watching. I think as soon as the wedding vows are done, Don's going to be having affairs. I don't think he's learned anything. I thought he was.
Yeah.
He was journaling, he was swimming, he was drinking less. I thought Don was growing up, but Don is Don, and I think we saw that at the end of the episode. I don't see Don being a better guy to start next season.
This has been the destructive episode, the season. This season has not been nothing but self-destruction for Don.
It has.
It's been the darkest season for sure.
Well, remember, we started this season with Who is Don Draper, and they were winning an award, and the company was growing and thriving.
Yeah.
And it's been downhill in every aspect ever since.
It's really interesting to watch the show from premiere to finale.
The
journey of each season is crazy.
They cover a lot of ground in a very intentional way. Again, and this can't be overstated. This is, in my opinion, of what I've watched, probably the best written television show I've ever seen.
I certainly think at this point, I don't know if I can say it's my favorite. That's saying it
yeah, we're still a couple seasons from being done. Well, 3 seasons left
for anything that I'm watching though.
Right.
This is my favorite show. Like this is amazing.
This is amazing writing.
It truly, like, what you can hold this up next to the greatest show of all time, which probably Breaking Bad, probably The Sopranos. The list goes on.
Better Call Saul. There's a number on the list,
exactly.
right?
And I think that this stands head and shoulders with the rest of them, man. This is like as good of a show as anything that's ever been made.
I think so. From start to finish. We're sorry if our visceral reaction to Betty's behavior makes us appear heartless, and more you guys are too hard on Betty comments coming in, but I really feel like that the scene with Carla really left nothing to be lovable about.
Like, are we alone in that? I don't think we are, man. I mean, like, look, I'm sorry if it does offend whoever, or if you think that we're a certain type of way, but we're really not. Like, we're watching plenty of shows on this channel where like we give a fair shake to everyone, and we're not just sitting here praising Don. We sat here for an hour.
Don was garbage on this episode. Yeah,
we detested everything he did. Like, look, I don't think it's that crazy of a take to say that Betty Draper is a bad character. Not like a bad character, but like a bad person on the show.
Yeah, it's like everyone else. We took a little bit of heat for calling out Roger's racism on the episode with the Japanese guys. There were people who were like, he's not racist per se. It's his
man of an era, whatever.
Right, man of an era. His experiences in the war. Okay, I get that, but we're 20 years later, and he's saying racist things to these Japanese guys. because they're Japanese,
And
not
blackface.
because and the blackface. I'm sorry, I like Roger. I think he's funny. I
The
think he's
funniest part of the
charming.
episode.
Yeah, I
Look at
also
the eyes.
I also think he's a bigot. I think he's a trust fund baby and a bigot who inherited his job.
You're
And
not supposed to like these people.
yeah, you're right.
They're likable, but
What-
you're not supposed to actually like them.
What's the director of American Psycho?
American Psycho.
Yeah, what's her
Um,
name?
I can't remember her name. I know it's.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I remember hearing an interview with her. It might have been on NPR
I
many
think
years.
it's Mary something.
So sorry,
Here,
you should
I'll
know.
look her name up. You tell a story.
Well, I remember her being interviewed, and she said guys would come up to her
Uh-huh.
and be like, "Oh my God, I loved your movie. I loved your book. I love the movie. I'm so much like Patrick Bateman." And she'd be like, "That's not a good
That's a
thing.
red flag.
You're
yeah.
not supposed to be like Patrick Bateman. He's a terrible guy."
Mary Herron.
Mary Herron.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that Betty's the same way. I think it's okay to both empathize with why she is how she is,
Mhm.
but also say, despite all of that, I do not care for her as a person. I think
Yeah.
she's a toxic person.
Jake LaMotta. Travis Bickle.
Right? Yeah.
Popeye Doyle.
They
You know what I mean?
Bickle is a Vietnam War veteran, right? A broken Vietnam War veteran who doesn't know how to fit in now that he's back home, right?
Yeah.
The world doesn't make any sense to him when he's back home. He thinks everything's falling apart.
Yeah.
He reacts horribly.
Watch.
You're not supposed to like these people.
Okay. Even better example is if you watch Raging Bull.
Jake LaMotta,
a
yeah.
real life person who is god awful.
Right.
And at the end of the movie, he's in a jail cell crying, punching the walls, and like you're tearing up.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, like you actually feel some form of empathy for this person because self-destruction is
For
hard
sure.
to watch, man. And she's no different.
Right. How do you feel when Walter White is dead at the end of?
Walter
Sorry,
White.
spoiler. How do you feel when Walter White meets his hit in Breaking Bad?
Exactly.
I didn't feel bad for him
Didn't
at that
feel
point.
bad for him, but like at the same time, you're kind of sad by it.
Like you sad because the show's over.
Yeah.
I felt a lot worse when his brother-in-law was gone than him.
You're more sad. You're sad, obviously, but it's because of the events that transpired.
Absolutely.
Everything that happens. I mean, same with Saul Goodman. With Better
Right,
Call
yeah.
Saul, you know. So we get it. We understand. If you like Betty, maybe there's.
I get why. I even understand why.
We haven't even seen all the show yet.
Right.
So like maybe there's something that happens down the road that like that informs why people like her. But like,
And
at
I
this point-
think that's the bigger issue. I agree with that because I think what's going to happen it's kind of like again. Remember Ted Lasso?
Yep.
We got ripped apart because we didn't like Dr. Sharon the first time we met her because she was very cold and standoffish.
Yes.
And
But
people
yeah,
were like,
we loved her.
yeah. And people were like, you morons don't understand how great she really is. And I'm like, well,
Morons. Yeah,
well,
American morons.
we saw her in one episode, so I guess no, we don't. So by the end of the show, we loved her.
Yeah.
You know, and-
Cried when she was gone.
yeah, it was sad when she was gone. We felt like she was a really important part of the show and a part of Ted's life and all the characters' lives.
Yeah.
We got it. We're reacting in real time as a first time watch.
Yeah.
Maybe by the time we're done with the show, we say, I get it. Betty Draper, though complex and flawed, is a really admirable person. I'm not there yet.
I'm not there yet.
I've
so far from that.
I'm seeing some of the visceral stuff that's happened. Her slapping the crap out of Sally over cutting her hair. Her awful treatment of Carla in this episode is going to stand out with me for a while.
Yeah.
Because that was detestable. There's no better word for it.
It was god awful.
It was awful, and it was all because she doesn't like Glenn because of her history
It's
with
her
Glenn.
own crap.
It's her
own ego. It's her own.
she's Glenn's never done anything to Sally,
He's
by
a
the way.
kid.
Right, and
He's a freaking kid. Yeah, exactly. It's all innocent.
it is all innocent, and the simple fact that Betty had that weird
He crashed
connection.
their house, but that was,
She doesn't know that.
No.
She has that weird connection with him in season 1 where she had no one else to turn to but Glenn, and her mom called her out on it. She slapped her mom in the grocery store, over the hair cutting thing, which I thought was weird too. But none of that says that Glenn is a bad person.
He's not. He's a child.
He was a small child when that happened.
He was, and he's a very confused kid too. So
Right.
This is just.
This is Betty letting that stuff, of which she was a willing participant at the time, really color that. And it makes me really not like her.
Yeah, that's. I'm on the same page as you. I am.
I'm very excited to start the next season and see where we are. Again, another episode where they really nailed the finale on this show. Very exciting stuff.
Four.
Yeah, very much so. All right, we'll catch you then, guys.
See ya.